Welcome back. So at the end of my last video I said that I just had a delivery, and that last video was about 10 minutes ago. So I've just got everything out to have a little look, see, make sure everyone's okay. Got some exciting new creatures here. One species in particular I'm really excited about because I wanted to get some of these for ages. But let's give it a little run through of what we've got here. Now the first thing I wanted to address is the fact that I do have two more orchid mantids here. And I don't know if people remember, but I did do a video where I said that I'd got some more orchid mantids. I think it was in my last unboxing video actually, with the plan to long term have a bit of a breeding project with them, and hopefully once they reach maturity, breed them, have some babies. There's been a bit of a hitch in that plan because two of the orchid mantids I've had have died. Now, I don't specifically know the reason, but I do have some suspicions. So one of them was being kept in this enclosure, which is the standard size I keep a lot of the nymphs in. And he seemed to be eating okay, didn't seem to be any problems. I was keeping the humidity up, as the orchid mantids do like things a little bit more humid. However, he then subsequently passed away. Don't know why. Thought, okay, maybe it's just a random fluke, does happen from time to time. But as this enclosure was then freed up, I then moved one of the other orchid mantids into this one just to make some more space in that one's enclosure as it was a bit bigger. And then the next day, he died as well, or she. Which does allude to the fact that there might be something nasty in this enclosure. Could have just been bad luck. Who knows? I feel like the conditions they were kept in were optimal, and I've not had any issues with the third orchid mantid. He's doing absolutely fine. He's been molting, growing, no problems. So it does seem a bit strange that they both perished, and particularly when I moved one into here, it just instantly died within 24 hours. Very weird. Don't know what it could be. As I said, it might just be one of those things, but I won't take any risks, so I'll obviously empty all the stuff out of here and give it a good clean. But yeah, I wanted to replace those little chaps, so I have got two more, and thankfully they're about the same size as the other one. And fingers crossed we won't have any more issues. I've never had problems with them in the past when I've had orchid mantids, so I'm pretty confident in my husbandry with them. So hopefully these will mature on and have some babies in the future. Right, so we need an extra container for one of these, so let's make that up now. Got some moss in the bottom for humidity, and we can just add some climbing apparatus in here for him. And let's hope these little fellas have a bit more luck than the last two. Alright, little man, how are you? He's looking rather plump, so he shouldn't need another feed. There you go, my boy. Sorry, I'm useless. My microphone died and I didn't notice. Such a pro. Right, I've set one of these enclosures up, and now I've set another one up, but I had to put some silicone on just to attach this netting on the top part of the enclosure, just so they've got somewhere to hang. So I'm going to have to wait for that to dry before we introduce our other orchid mantis. Okay, so now let's move on to some of the newest species that we've got today. So this is a Peruvian deadleaf mantis, or Acanthops erosula. Acanthops erosula. It's always a struggle when I first say them. Acanthops erosula. Now, I had a Deraplatis desiccata, which is a giant deadleaf mantis, and that was one of my favourites. And just as a little update on him, he has now, or he did successfully pair with my friend's female deadleaf mantis, and they have an ooth that is very close to hatching. So I'll certainly be having some of those babies, I hope, providing all goes well. And these little guys, similarly, are not much trouble at all. Quite a standard species to keep. 50 to 70% humidity. Average temperatures, he'll be fine in room temperature. And these look very impressive once they reach adulthood, which is always something to look forward to. Right, you, let's get you in your new home. And then next up we've got Stagmatoptera or Stagmatoptera femoralis, which is the black spot mantis. And I'm never going to remember the Latin for that, so we'll stick with black spot mantis. Stagmatoptera femoralis. Stagmatoptera. Stagmatoptera femoralis. Stagmatoptera femoralis. And I'm fast running out of enclosures for these little guys. I've just realised I'm one short, so he's going to have to go in a little deli cup for now. But again, fairly easy species to keep. Intermediate to easy. Standard room temperature, average humidity. Shouldn't give us too much trouble. And as the name suggests, they have a nice vivid black spot on the inside of their raptorial arms. He'll be happy in there though, plenty of room, more than enough for a mantis in that. I just like things to look pretty, and this doesn't look pretty, but he'll get an upgrade soon enough. Right, now before we move on to the final new species that I've got, I just got one more mantis, and it's quite a special one, quite a unique one. It's the Gongylus gongylodes, the wandering violin mantis. Now these little guys are pretty special. I'll try and get some macro footage of him, just so you can have a closer look. And these are a slightly more advanced species. They are impicids, which means they won't be able to climb glass, and they do struggle to get to higher ground unless you have an appropriate enclosure. And luckily, recently I have built some enclosures specifically for that reason and this kind of species of mantis. For these and for things like devil's flower mantids, and because they require such low humidity, you want to have a high amount of ventilation going through the enclosure, minimal water retention inside the enclosures. So what I've designed is this, which has a glass bottom, which is where we can place any substrate, and the standard area to retain things like springtails and the cleanup crew. And then as it goes further up, it does just go into a little box frame here, which I've made out of kind of pieces of wood, and then covered it in netting. So all of this area they're able to climb on, and then obviously get to the top too. Obviously this is a bit too big for him, but I think I might put him in here for now, and I can always just keep an eye on him and make sure he's actually eating. Now, I'm not going to rehouse this guy just yet. I think I'll save that for a separate video because I do want to do something cool with the enclosure. But I love these kind of mantids. They're just so weird and obscure looking and such a strange shape. And especially when they get to maturity, because I think if it's a male, they have really feathery antennas as well. But let's put him to one side and get out the grand finale. So these little guys are very seasonal. I believe you can only get them certain times of the year. I've been waiting to get some for ages. They're not the cheapest either. And I finally bit the bullet and just bought some. And they are the blue death feigning beetle. Now I've got 3 of these little guys, and I thought we could have a little look at them and get them out. I haven't held them yet. We might, if we're lucky, we might even see one do its behaviour of feigning. But they just look so cool. I do want to be a bit careful because they are a bit clumsy, but I love the waxy coating they have on their abdomens. You want to come out? And look at him, what a cool little guy. And similarly, I'm going to hold fire with rehousing these. And these are great little beetles because they're so active. They're not like most beetles that just burrow away and you barely see them. We should see them out fairly frequently. They're incredibly hardy as well, so they don't take a lot of maintenance. You can just pop them in a dry enclosure, chuck some food in every now and again. They should be perfectly happy in there. And they will eat dead insects, fruit, nothing specific. So again, easy dietary requirements. I mean, this little guy's pretty confident. I thought he might get a bit freaked out and show off his little fake death. So the reason that these guys are called feigning death beetles is obviously because they tend to feign death. If, I'm sure, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to stress them out, but if you sort of went to grab one or something, they may well just lie on their back, pretend to be dead. And that's obviously as a ruse for any predators that might be hunting it in the desert. And these little guys here more than likely are wild caught. In fact, it's pretty much guaranteed because they're incredibly hard to breed. From what I've seen, there's been very few successes with actually breeding these in captivity because they have such specific requirements. It's definitely something I'd love to try. I don't think I'd have the expertise to pull it off. I've seen a few videos and people have suggested certain things, so I'll absolutely try it and give them the conditions to breed. It's something to do with the pupal stage. You'll be able to get them to lay eggs and the larvae will hatch out. That's not the problem. The problem is the closing into an adult where it becomes an issue, and there has to be specifics around the requirements that allow them to do that in the conditions. But we'll give it a try. Why not? I'm just so happy to finally get my hands on these. But just for now, what I will do is get this plastic tub, fill it up with some sand and soil and pop them in there, give them some hides and stuff just as a temporary thing until I can sort out something a bit more nice looking. I've got some reptile sand here and I'll mix that in with a little bit of soil as well, and that will give them plenty of medium to hang around in. They're not climbers either, so I probably don't even need to put a lid on this, which is even better because they like it dry, and that will of course help with all of any ventilation needed. Don't even need to water these little dudes. They'll get all the water they need from fruit and veg and prey items that they scavenge. And you can use regular play sand. That works just fine. It's just because I don't have any. I've only got the reptile sand at the moment. Right, then we've got just a bit of driftwood or bogwood, whatever you want to call it. Pop that in there. And this is pretty much all they're going to need. We'll give them a little something to eat as well. And like I said though, I want to make a nice enclosure for these guys that has everything they would need to potentially breed if they so desire. And these little chaps will happily wander around in here and interact with each other. It should be plenty of room for 3 of them. I'll probably keep the lid on for now, just until I'm 100% confident they definitely can't climb any edges. Because they're certainly trying, look at them. It seems like they're attracted to the light. The only thing I'm slightly unsure about is I'm noticing that the sand in here is so fine that it is kind of sticking to them. I don't think it's a problem at all. Maybe when I rehouse them I'll get some sand with slightly bigger grains in it. But definitely looking forward to keeping these guys. Anyway, I'll be back soon with a rehouse on these and for the violin mantis as well. So stay tuned if you're interested in seeing that. But thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch the video. I've got an Instagram and a Twitch in the description below. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. I usually post videos at least once a week. But until next time, take care and I'll see you soon.